All right, let's get started. So welcome to the SEAONC Engagement Committee presentations. This is making up for the fact that we weren't able to do the committee night, our typical committee night in November. So this way you'll get to hear from all our committees and what they're up to. Just a reminder for some quick housekeeping, we'll be putting questions and answers at the end. So if you want to, any questions you have during the presentations, you can just type them into chat. And then once everyone's presented, we'll go through all the questions. Also at the end, we'll be raffling off 2 Amazon gift cards. So enticing you to stay for the for all of the presentations. And our agenda, these are the committees that we will be hearing from, and everyone will be presenting for about 3 minutes. So you'll get a good taste of what each committee is up to. And actually, we'll be starting with a non-committee. We'll be hearing from Michelle with Engineering Alliance for the Arts to kick us off. So,
let's see. Wonderful. Hi, so I'm Michelle Lehman. I'm the Executive Director for Engineers Alliance for the Arts. We're a nonprofit organization and we've been around for about 20 years. And I want to give a shout out to SEAONC because you've been partnering with us from the very beginning, and extra special thank you to leadership for always being supportive of our organization. What we're doing is introducing high school students to engineering, and we do that through our Student Impact Project. So even though our program has changed because of the pandemic, we've pivoted to a distance learning model, but we've still kept the pillars of our program the same. When we are trying to increase the awareness that students have about architecture and engineering, we always encourage teamwork by having the students work in small groups. Communication is a part of our program. They're writing essays and creating videos, and important that we are giving them exposure to technical professions. We want them to research the industry and find out how they can fit in the future to something involved in AEC. So why am I telling you all this? Because our program is taught by engineers and architects in the classroom that volunteer to help teach. So we would love for you to get involved and think about participating in our program and helping students out. So our program is about 8 weeks long. It's a 1 to 2 hour a week commitment between preparation and actually teaching the class. All of the curriculum is fully developed. You don't have to guess at any of it. We've laid it all out for you. And we are, oops, that's not working. How about that? There we go. We give the students some real life scenarios to choose from to build a scale bridge. This year we are using a scenario up in Calistoga. They're building a pedestrian bridge into a park. The other option would be a vehicle bridge that's being replaced by a bicycle bridge in Edmonton, Canada, so that students can find out about that. So those are 2 of the options, and it's nice to have the real life scenarios. Let's see, we encourage the design aspect of this as well. We want our things to not just be functional, but also beautiful. And the other thing is the interaction with the AEC in researching all the things that are possible. The students put together a design package. This year, they're going to be doing hand sketching as well as a computer model. They're going to write an essay and create a video presentation. There are also additional homework assignments that they do in addition to the design package components, but it's really giving them kind of like a little synopsis of what it's like to work in the industry and see what it's all about. And we know that our program has an impact on students because we administer a pre and post program survey, and we can see that they are increasing their knowledge of what engineers do and how they have an impact on the world around them. So if you'd like to have an impact on students and give back to your community and help find the next generation, we'd love for you to volunteer with us. And you can find a lot more information on our website, engineersalliance.org, or email us at eaabayarea@gmail.com. So thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Michelle. And one thing I forgot to mention is that rather than emailing people, we do have a Google form you can access through the chat box. So if you want to fill out that form, that'll get sent to the office and sent to, for example, Michelle, if you're interested in volunteering for Engineering Alliance for the Arts. And our first committee presentation, our next presentation, will be Jonathan from Continuing Education.
Hello, everyone. Like Katie said, my name is Jonathan Ty, and I'm the current chair for the Continuing Education Committee. So some statistics. Did I skip something? No, maybe not. All right, I'm sorry. Typically, we meet usually the last Thursday of the month. So there will be a meeting next week. If you're interested, you can always email me at the end of at the email address at the end of this section. Currently, there's about 10 active members. Not to say that there is, a large mailing list of past members as well. The commitment for this committee varies. Typically, it's around 1 to 3 hours a month, and sometimes depending on a month with a couple of large presentations or seminars, then it might go a little bit more. But typically, it's pretty minimal for most of the members. I mean, we've had previous webinars. Some of them, I think many of you probably have attended. There was a wind design manual seminar a couple years ago. There were dampers. Recently, we did a code updates to a CBC 2019. There's also a ACI 31819 update as well. Recently, there was a webinar on retrofit and repair, and there was also one on AC 41. Here's our committee charge. It's a lot of words, but pretty much it's to provide continuing education opportunities for our membership, to learn about new code advancements, new research developments, and things of that nature. And then kind of providing a certain number, hopefully, every year or so. Future upcoming webinars, there are in the works for an ACE7 irregularities webinar coming out in the spring. Same with a floor vibration design and analysis webinar. Next month in February, there will be a CBC 2019 OSHPOD updates. So look out for that mailer to come out soon from the SEAONC office. And there's many more. And really being a member of the CEC, you get to kind of dictate what you want to learn about. So there's always that. And then you can reach me or the past president, Lori Jew, or the vice chair, Lindsay Koenig, at this email address or at my work email address, john.ty@hok.com. And we are always looking for members or just ideas of future seminars.
Great, thanks, Jonathan. Our next presentation will be from the Young Members Forum, and Michael and Megan are the co-chairs. They'll be presenting.
Hi, everyone. We are the Young Members Forum, or YMF, and I'm Megan August, one of the co-chairs.
I'm Michael Chang, the other co-chair this year. Our committee has a lot of different activities and events. First of all, we meet every month, and the time and location varies. However, we do get together to review past events and plan future events. We also have a monthly happy hour that traditionally is at a bar, just to relax. Recently, we've been doing a lot of trivia nights over Zoom. In addition, we also do educational presentations about every quarter that are specifically geared towards our members.
We also host large socials kind of every season of the year. In the fall, that would be our Oktoberfest event, which is our largest event of the year. 2 socials in the winter and the spring. And in the summer, we typically do a Giants game and tailgate. We also host PE info sessions. These typically take place prior to the registration deadline for both the spring and fall exams. And we have a panel of past test takers to answer some questions. And we also do site tours when possible.
Here are some pictures from before COVID, how we used to do happy hours, and now in the social distance world. We really like to create an opportunity for younger members to feel comfortable and be able to be part of SEAONC and grow in their careers.
Here are some pictures from our last 2 site visits we did. We were fortunate enough to tour the Chase Center, the Warriors Arena, back in 2018, and it was a very high in demand attendance for that event. And our last site visit before COVID was at UCSF Mission Bay, where we toured one of the new buildings.
Here's some pictures from past Oktoberfest, which, as mentioned, is one of the biggest events every year. We often partner with other organizations like ASC, for example, or VIA. And it's a great event, a lot of food and drinks, and also industry sponsors as well. So it's a very wholesome experience all in all. And this year we had to go virtual, as you can see in the bottom right. So we got creative with some different activities and events spread out over the course of a month.
Some of our committee charges for this year are to aid in engaging current and new membership. We hope to collaborate with other SEAONC committees and organizations such as ASCE, as well as our folks down in Southern California and other SEAONC organizations, as well as support university outreach here in the Bay Area.
Coming up, we have some new and exciting events. We have a winter social coming up that we're partnering with SEAONC as well as ASC. It'll be next week, so definitely join if you're able to, if you're a younger member. And we are also leading the April SEAONC meeting, and it'll be more of a social where we can really, again, engage with the greater SEAONC community in a more maybe comfortable way for everyone.
If you'd like to get involved, feel free to reach out to Michael or myself. We have our board listed here and our email addresses where you can get onto our newsletter list, which is the best way to keep up with what we've got going on. And also give us a follow on Instagram at SEAONC.
Great, thanks, Michael. Thanks, Megan. Next, we'll be hearing from Reinhard about the Hensoldt Legacy Committee.
I'm Reinhard Lutke. I am a SEAONC member since the mid-70s. I was asked by one of the past presidents, Janelle Maffei, if I would be chair of the committee a couple of years ago. And so I started participating last year and just tried and spent that year getting familiar with what the committee was doing. The committee started started because one of the past members of SEAONC, Walter Hensoldt, provided seed money for the committee. And then in 2014 and 2015, 2016, the committee created a website and worked on creating this, the form of the website. The website is really a history of SEAONC engineers. And so the committee does the research, writes and documents information about the engineers of SEAONC since like 1937, 38 is when SEAONC was formed, right a year or two after SEAOSC was formed down in Southern California. We've identified significant projects in the Bay Area and some outside of the Bay Area. that are documented. We have a section on professional organizations, including firms, the history of firms. This year, we're going to add what I'm calling technical leadership. The structural engineers of Northern California have been very, very instrumental in advancing technical parts of the profession, including the finite element had its roots in the Bay Area at Berkeley, and locally base isolated buildings had its roots at with some testing at Berkeley, and with innovative work and development of products in the Bay Area, which continues today. So we want to document some of those things, and we're going to continue our documentation of engineers. I encourage everyone that's on the attending this meeting to go to the website, which is legacy.seaonc.org, and read some of the articles about the engineers. If you don't know anything about Julia Morgan, you should go and read about her. She's a very, very accomplished architect, and she was an engineer. Henry Brunier was involved in forming the organization, and Ruth Gordon was one of the first female members of SEAONC, and I knew her because she was a member in the 70s when I joined. Some of the projects that are documented on the website. This is engineering projects that were done by engineers, by SEAONC engineers. Some of them, these represent some of the projects that have been seismically retrofitted by members of SEAONC. The man that provided the funding for the committee, Hensoldt, he was involved with the Transamerica building and with the Candlestick Park, which is now history, that has been demolished since we have the new ballpark and football stadium. This is just some of the things that structural engineers have done, SEAONC structural engineers have done, from residential to ballparks to new exciting buildings in Oakland. And I know a lot of engineers have had experience doing things outside of buildings, including artwork. These are bridges that have been engineered by SEAONC members. Some of them are documented. Some SEAONC members are world renowned and were leaders in developing structures, ocean structures and oil production structures in the 70s. That was centered and led by engineers in Northern California and members of SEAONC. Our charges are, we continue to research, write, edit, and post history, documents to the website about engineers and projects in history. We want to publicize and present the SEAONC legacy to SEAONC members and the public. So we really encourage you to go look at what we've done and learn from the history and understand where we've come from. We plan to have some let's say presentations, probably Zoom presentations this year with the local universities, with Stanford and Berkeley and probably Cal Poly at least, introduce them to the information that's on the website. And then, like I mentioned, an initiative that we have going on right now is to write and publish some stories about structural engineer methods and solutions and products that were by SEAONC. And so I'll give you an example that Ron Mays, Professor Kelly, Mason Walters, Victor Zayas, they're all participating with us to write the history of base isolated buildings and the creation of the products that are used in isolating buildings. So that's one of our initiatives. So that I just mentioned that. That's what one of the things we're involved in right now, to document and put that record on the website. And if you're interested in getting involved, we'd like you to be involved. If you have some ideas on things that you'd be interested in knowing where they came from, who was involved, contact me with my email address here, or Derek Hom. And I just want to give a shout out to Derek. Derek spent the 5 years of the committee developing everything that's there. So he's done a lot of the legwork and created the form and content that's on the website now. So contact us if you're interested. We'd love to have you participate. we'll give you some homework to do. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Reinhardt. Next, we'll be hearing from Jeffrey, and he'll be informing us about the Business Forum Committee.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jeffrey. I am the current chair of the Business Forum. And so we are planning to meet next week to kind of plan some events. And my idea is that really I only want commitment in terms of time for planning any specific event that you are interested in. You don't have to be involved with all of the events, of course, that we plan to do. And the basic idea of the Business Forum events is that we want to present on topics that are focus on the business aspect of structural engineering and less on the technical side. So that's kind of the difference between us and the CEC. So, and a lot of those topics are not specific to structural engineering necessarily. And so it can be a really great opportunity for us to plan events with our architectural friends and clients, and also with contractors that we work with if there are topics that make sense for that kind of collaboration. So the charges, of course, are to plan and host these meaningful events and create relationships with these other AEC organizations, and of course, support the business and practice of structural engineering. Here are just some of the ideas that people in the committee have come up with, as well as with some suggestions from the SEAONC board. There's lots of really good ideas, and I think there's lots of really good content in here that appeal to me personally, and hopefully appeal to the rest of you all as well. And of course, if you also have good ideas, bring them with you, and we can talk about them as well. So the best way to get in contact with me is through my email address that's on the screen, or like Katie said at the beginning, feel free to fill out that Google form, and the board will distribute that to all of the chairs to the relevant chairs. That's it for the Business Forum.
Great, thank you very much. Next, we'll be hearing about the Program Committee, and Badri, the chair for that committee, will be presenting.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Katie. I'm Badri Prasad. Okay, just a second here. Yeah, so I'm the program committee chair. Program committee, usually before the COVID days, we were very active presenting seminars once a month on interesting topic. Could be building, not building, non-building, and other interesting topics. Our mission is to showcase structural engineering topics and projects of interest to the members. And also this would provide a networking opportunity on a monthly basis. You will also get to interact with some of the leaders in our organization in our structural engineering field, invite them to present topics of interest, and that would help in your communication skills also. Committee facts, typically we used to meet once a month. Now, due to the COVID, we are flexible. And currently we have 2 members in the committee. We are looking for more members to join our committee. You spend about 2 to 4 hours typically in a month. Again, currently due to the COVID, we are kind of flexible. We don't have a monthly meeting now. We try to squeeze in topics whenever there's an opportunity. As I said before, by getting involved in this committee would help you develop your presentation and communication skills, and also your interaction skills. We used to have 4 to 6 webinars on interesting project. This is actually our charge for this year, at least to have 4 to 6. Consider programs which are valuable for small firms, and also give small firms an opportunity to present some of the interesting buildings that they have worked on, and also look at some non-building market areas too. So we have, brought in a lot of interesting topics. We have presented them over the years, and we will continue to do so. Look for interesting topics, and certainly we are looking for new members to help us out. And if you are interested, please contact me. And our upcoming event is on February 8th. We have a Bridge to Prosperity. That's a nonprofit organization. They are involved in building bridges all over the world, and they'll be talking about it. Devin Connell and Nicola Turini. So that should be an interesting topic. It would be from I think during lunchtime, 12 to 1 on February 8th. So if you're interested in participating, please feel to reach out to me or to Margaret Bellow, who is also helping me and is a vice chair on this program committee. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Badri. Next, we'll be hearing from Jenny regarding the membership committee. So take it away, Jenny.
Hi everyone, I'm Jenny. I'm waiting for control. Okay, so I'm Jenny. I'm chair of the membership committee. So we technically have quarterly meetings, but I'm currently the only active member of the committee, so I can meet with myself whenever I feel like it. Our other active committee member is our past chair, Caroline, and I put the commitment is less than 10 hours per month, but it's really less than that. Usually when we have like committee outreach night, like the commitment is a little bit higher when we have events, but usually it's maybe like more like 1 to 2 hours per month. And so our committee charges for the 2020-2021 year is to increase membership recruitment by advertising the benefits of becoming a SEAONC member, increase membership recruitment of new engineers by having liaison members for our local universities and university chapters. We also want to help other SEAONC committees recruit members for their committees. And then we also want to assist the organization with member appreciation by organizing different events and also providing membership gifts. So some of our past work was, so we organized the effort for preparing all of the pamphlets for each committee to pass out during committee outreach night. It took a few years of trying to update the pamphlets every year so that every committee has one. And we're at the point now where all of our committees have different pamphlets to hand out. We also did a top 10 reasons to join SEAONC mailer last year that we sent out to new professional engineers and new structural engineers who just passed the licensing. And then we also provided SEAONC reusable bag membership appreciation gift a couple years back. And then so for some of our new exciting initiatives, we're trying to determine an annual membership appreciation event. We also want to plan a new member welcome event for our new members for each year. And then we're also going to revamp the new member welcome packages. So currently when you join SEAONC, so board members are assigned new members and they reach out to the new members to welcome, to ask them if there's any questions about SEAONC, if there's anything to help them. We're hoping to revamp it to hopefully engage some of our new members to encourage them to become more active members of our committee. If you're more interested in learning about the membership committee, you can contact me here. My email is on the screen. You can also use the Google form that Katie had mentioned before. And then there's also the committee email that you can send at membership@seaonc.org if you want to contact me. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Jenny. Next, Tiffany will be presenting about the SE3 committee. And so Tiffany, you're up.
Great, thanks, Katie. My name is Tiffany Huang. I am a structural engineer with COE out in Oakland, and I am the chair of the Structural Engineering Engagement and Equity Committee, or SE3. So we meet on the third Wednesdays of every month from 5:30 to 7. So that's actually later today. So if you're interested, please feel free to, my contact information will be available later on, and you can email and I'll send you the invite. We're a fairly active committee. If you haven't noticed already, if you're getting all those emails, we're still active during the pandemic. So we have about 20 to 25 active committee members who attend our monthly meeting. And so the commitment, of course, includes the monthly committee meeting, as well as 2 to 4 hours for work on a task group meeting, as well as, you know, planning programming. And I would actually up that commitment in that, like with many of these committees, if you, for example, take on a task group leadership role or lead an event, then that average time can increase. But we have really passionate members, and I'm really proud to be a part of this committee. So we have, I actually kind of, sorry, I'm not, someone is moving this. Okay. So we have multiple task groups within our kind of subcommittees within our committee. So we have a racial equity task group, as well as a diversity, equity, and inclusion task group, mentorship, and outreach and comms. And so if you're looking for extra help, it'd probably be within racial equity, DEI, and underneath outreach and comms, student outreach and exit interviews. There we go. So our mission is to raise awareness and promote dialogue on engagement, retention, and equity within our profession, so that we can attract and retain the best talent within SEAONC and within our respective firms all throughout their careers. So these are some of our past SE3 programs. This is all just within the last year or two. You see, we did a workshop on building an inclusive workplace. We have speed mentorship events. We did a webinar about what we can learn from the 2008 recession, after we realized that the pandemic was going to be around for a lot longer than maybe any of us intended. Yeah, the list goes on. Some of our exciting new initiatives for the Racial Equity Task Group, we are going to launch a DEI long-term cohort program for firm leaders. It's actually an extension of the one-off roundtable event we had for firm leaders in October. And this is the idea of this is for firm leaders to commit to a year-long program where they can talk with their peers about what's working, what's not working, as many firms are considering having a more active role in enacting DEI strategies within the workplace. We'll be publishing a civil engineering demographics report with some data. You can see we've already gathered some data, preliminary right now, of demographics from various Northern California colleges and universities, because there are a lot of statistics about STEM in general, but we thought that this was a way for us to kind of equip SEAONC membership as they potentially talk about these topics in the workplace, to have these statistics specific to our profession. And we also have we have a lot of events, so I'm just going to skip to highlight a few of them. And we also have a racial equity book club that just started in January, and will be every other month on the second Thursday of each month. So our next one will be in March. Our DI task group will be having a panel about inclusive management and leadership practices and how to be an ally and accomplice, as well as publish best practices guidance for structural engineering firms about job posting and resume review. In our outreach task group, we're going to have a Girls in STEM volunteering event with Girls Inc. in a few weeks, present the NCSEA SE3 survey results, and our mentorship task group, of course, facilitates our long-term mentorship program, which is a year-long program. We have about 100 participants with about 30 seasoned mentors, and we also do one-off speed mentoring events. So this was one where we switched to a virtual environment, and yeah. So with that, if you're interested, please contact me, and I hope to hear from some of you. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Tiffany. You guys are doing so much. Next, Derek will be presenting on the Public Outreach Committee.
Thanks, Katie. Hi, I'm Derek. I'm the chair of the Public Outreach Committee, and with me is Martina. She is the vice chair of the committee this year.
Hi, everyone.
So some facts about the Public Outreach Committee. We hold our meetings every third Thursday of the month from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. So our next meeting is actually tomorrow. If anyone is interested during the presentation, definitely reach out to Martina or I, and we will forward the invite your way. We have 8 active committee members right now and are definitely looking for more. Martina will get into some of our big initiatives right now that we're looking to get more participation in. I'd say on average, we probably spend about 4 hours of time commitment per month, mostly just trying to brainstorm an event plan. A lot of brainstorming right now with kind of the switch from in-person events to more of a virtual focused events. Some examples of our committee's work. So we traditionally plan and participate in a lot of volunteer activities throughout the Bay Area. So our big activity every year has been our Rebuilding Together Build Day. So we partner with the San Francisco chapter of Rebuilding Together, and we participate in a 2-day long building project. So this project took place out in Glen Canyon Park in the city. We redid a section of trail out there. And the idea is that you can complete all the work within that 2-day span. So in coming years, definitely look out for the Rebuilding Together Build Day. We also participate in a number of different community events. These photos are from our SF Marin Food Bank volunteer event. We've also done a beach cleanup out at Ocean Beach, and also tree planting with Friends of the Urban Forest. Our committee charges for this year are to improve our youth outreach program. So this is mostly focused on K-12 outreach. We also want to update the earthquake fair brochures that we use at a couple of the events in the city and San Jose. And then also event planning with the local AIA chapter. The photo to the right is actually the last event that we participated in with AIA. We did a walking tour through San Francisco, kind of highlighting some major structural engineering achievements. That was actually a partnership also with the Hinsult Legacy Committee. Martina's going to talk about some exciting new initiatives.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. So this is actually a fairly recent development. We are looking to collaborate with the local chapter of NSBE, which is the National Society of Black Engineers, and specifically their NSBE Junior subgroup, which is a pre-college program. They collaborate with local schools, also K through 12, usually small groups of kids from different schools in the area, to introduce them to engineering, all different types of engineering. So where we come in is bringing the structural engineering aspect, which is not always part of these programs. So our goal is to introduce these kids at an early age to structural engineering, and hopefully do so with a hands-on approach. And we recently found this really cool company called Mola Structural Kits. They're based in Brazil, actually, but they produce these really cool magnet and spring kits that you can play with, and it's a great teaching tool to teach these kids about basic engineering concepts. So our goal was POC and also as SEAONC in general is to get involved with these local chapters and try to come up with a program that we can develop through the coming months and the next few years. Very initial stages. We just had a meeting last week and we'll probably have one next week as well. But if you're interested, we are hopefully planning on having a first workshop early this summer. So if this is something that you're interested in participating in, or really any of the other activities that Derek mentioned, you can reach out to me, to Derek, and any of the emails listed below.
Great, thanks so much, Martina. Thanks, Derek. And our last presentation will be Peter presenting on the Bylaws Committee.
Hi there. This is Peter Lee. I'm chair of the Bylaws Committee. Thank you for this opportunity to be able to get and give you a overview of the committee and some of the charges and things that we're working on this year. Typically, we meet quarterly, but that depends upon what we have on our plate and in terms of tasks. We have 4 active members. Just recently, our past chair has retired, and with the committee board charges that have recently been put before the committee, we plan to meet. We have been meeting more frequently and expect to be meeting more frequently now into the spring. So our role as a committee on the bylaws is embodied in our mission and standing committee charges and charter for the year. What we do is our mission is to support the board of directors in the administration, revision, and update of the association's bylaws. So what do? Well, we serve at the request of the board of directors, and we answer questions on and provide interpretations of meanings and procedures as outlined and allowed in the bylaws. We compose additions and amendments as directed again by the board. We provide similar input and interpretations on the canons of ethics for engineers. So a brief overview of what are the bylaws. Well, Article 1 gives us a statement of purpose of the association, and it goes on to provide how the association will conduct business operations, including membership and our committee activities, all embodied in 13 articles. Of course, the board supplements this with annual policies and procedures, as well as near-term, long-term strategic plan initiatives. Historically, we're indebted to those that came before us in 1930, founded during the incorporation of 1949. The bylaws were first introduced and have been maintained, revised, and amended in accordance with the procedures therein on some 20 occasions since. But we note that all but 2 of these have occurred before the year 2000, 20 plus years ago. The amendments shall be adopted only upon qualifying vote of the voting members as prescribed in Article 9. Again, the canons of ethics were adopted similarly in 1962, and they have been amended 3 times since. So the committee charges that we have in front of us, in December, the board provided us proposed bylaws revisions. Its board charge is, of course, led by Emily Guglielmo and Kevin Moore. This is something that we saw coming. We expected it in the board transition last summer and into the fall. We have obtained and been delivered to us a complete comprehensive set, a document that has proposed changes. These changes are substantive and far-reaching. Many, you could say, are long overdue, and all articles are impacted in some amendment. So overarching themes that you'll be hearing, I believe you'll be hearing more directly from the board, would associate it with themes of alignment, where we're looking for alignment with the operations of the association, clarification of language where interpretations aren't of maybe need to change, so there's better clarification of interpretations of existing elements. Consistency of language across all 12 articles. or 13 articles, and you know, that's somewhat editorial in nature. And then repair. Repair would be a case, a condition where maybe the association is operating healthily in a certain area where it may not be maybe in conflict with something that's written in the bylaws. So that would need to be addressed. And then finally, update. I think that the idea is that there'd be better representation of the initiatives that the embodies the current association and all the things that it's doing, and that both now and allow those things to happen further in the future. So our job on the committee is to work with the committee to review, advise as needed, and support this initiative as best we can. Our charge is to complete these activities by April, so that this could move to membership vote in June. So we're excited as a committee to have this opportunity and challenges in front of us. We have an experienced and talented and very bright team. I'd like to single out Ed Gowdy, who is the past chair. He actually became chair in 2003, 2004. Before that, in the 90s, he was on the committee. So he goes back a long time, of over 2+ decades of contributions to the committee, to the association. We wish him well in his retirement. So if you're interested, and we would love to hear from you if you're interested in participating on the committee and helping us with these efforts. On the website, you can, of course, you can download a copy of the bylaws and the canons of ethics. We also recently updated our pamphlet that provides a bit of more information. And of course, we can be reached at our SEAONC bylaws at seaonc.org for additional comments or questions. Thank you for this time.
Great. Thank you very much, Peter. So before we get started with questions, he's going to raffle off 2 Amazon gift cards, and the SEAONC office will contact the winners. So you don't need to do anything if you win. So the first gift card will be going to, I believe it's Parastu Irani. So the SEAONC office will be contacting you.
Thank you, Katie.
Oh, thank you. And then also thank you for participating today. And also to Jamie Nielsen, and the SEAONC office will be contacting you. So now we can start with questions. And the first one is for Michelle with Engineers Alliance for the Arts. About how many student and volunteer participants do you have in I guess a typical year, and then is this year a different number of people?
Yeah, good question. This year we're a little bit lower than we normally have been, just because some of the schools are having a harder time participating, but we have typically about 400 students in our program, between 50 and 60 volunteers, and depends on the number of classrooms, between 12 and 20 classrooms each year. So it takes a lot of people to make it all work, and volunteers are a really important component of the whole program.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And then for the business forum, you mentioned that people can get involved only for events that they were perhaps interested in planning. So rather than being on the committee to plan all the events, about how many hours would you be spending if you were involved in just planning, say, one event or a series of events?
Actually, I think Jeffrey had to step off the call, but I can forward that question to him.
Oh, thanks, Martina. All right. I can email that to him. So the next question is for Tiffany. So for SE3, we have the SEAONC SE3 chapter, and then there's other chapters like NCSEA. And so how do you interact with those other groups, and kind of what's the difference between the groups?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So SE3 as a committee was founded within SEAONC. And so now that SE3 has grown and expanded to be a committee in multiple MO member organizations across the US, there is the local SEAONC SE3 chapter that I'm the chair of, where we provide local programming for our members in Northern California. And now we also have an NCSEA SE3 national committee that has taken on the charge of administering as well as analyzing the data that is gathered from the biennial NCSEA SE3 survey. The 2020 survey results will be coming out actually in a few months. And then of course, there are other local SEAOC, there are other local SE3 chapters with the other California SEAOC organizations. And so we are all in communication, but we all essentially have the local committees that concentrate on their local initiatives, and national that works on elevating that conversation on a national scale. There's also some collaboration between the California-based local SE3 committees, where we're having a quarterly meeting to see where we can collaborate together. So that's essentially how we all work.
Great, thank you very much. Another question we have here is for Jonathan for continuing education. If I'm not ready to commit to joining the committee, but I have some good ideas for seminar topics, how would I go about getting those to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, the easiest way would be to, I guess, email the committee itself, either through the SEAONC email address or to the chair, which is currently me. Typically, we use the surveys at the end of seminars to kind of help us gauge what the membership wants. But if there's someone specific, who's really passionate about, a certain topic, we'll definitely consider those topics as well. But yeah, also one thing to mention, another benefit of being part of the CEC is that you get to attend all the CEC events for free. So consider that to make that leap of faith.
Great, thank you very much. And another question here is for Martina and Derek for Public Outreach Committee. Other than the social aspect of the committee, what would be some benefits to joining you guys?
So the volunteer events, which are at a bit of a lull right now, are a great way to kind of get involved in the community a little bit more, and kind of outside of the realm of structural engineering. All the events I participated in, it's great to kind of make connections within these community organizations and kind of tell people what you as a structural engineer do for the community. And then also with the youth outreach programs, one of the big things that we're focusing on is trying to get more involvement from lower levels of education in structural engineering. We saw with NSBE, they didn't really have a structural engineering representative within their program. And I'm sure it's like that with a lot of programs out there that we're going to try and get in touch with. So just kind of trying to spread the word to the community of who we are and what we do.
Nice. Okay, then next question might be our last one. So Badri, for programs, what would be a benefit if I was a younger engineer to joining your committee?
Yeah, the benefit would be, it would help them develop their communication skills, probably their presentation skills, and it will give them an opportunity to interact with the speakers who may be, in different firms or anywhere, who would be the leaders. So it would give an opportunity for them to grow and improve their presentation and communication skill. And past pandemic period, when we go back to our normal monthly meetings, that will also help them, introduce the speaker and interact with the peers in our firm, in our organization.
Great, thank you. And that is about all that we have. So if you have any other questions, always feel free to email the SEAONC office. And then again, there is the Google form in the chat box if you wanted to reach out to any of the committee chairs and didn't get a chance to write down their email address. And so I just wanted to say thank you to all of our committee chairs for presenting. You guys are doing great things for the organization and structural engineering in general. And then Emily will be closing out just a preview of what's to come next week at the board town hall.
Thank you so much, Katie. And I'd echo Katie's appreciation to our committee chairs, but I'd also like to thank Katie for taking such a huge leadership role this year with our committees and putting the last 2 weeks events together. The board's going to try to do our end of the bargain and finish up our 3-part series with a board town hall. And to date, we've advertised that to you with some pretty high level and generic initiatives. And so what you see here on the screen is much more of an itemized agenda. So to give you some transparency into what we want to talk about next week, we are going to cover some business, maybe most interestingly, our finances. We've had a lot of questions from members about big picture finances, COVID related finances. So we'd like to give some transparency into that situation and share an update with you. We're really excited to share a lot of the hard work and initiatives that we've put in place this year. You're already hearing a lot of talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we'd like to discuss some of our board initiatives, in particular the endowment that hopefully you heard about on Monday, and we would love to share more information about the endowment with you. We'd like to talk about our special projects initiative, which has been increased in funding this year, our newly underway disaster response plan in case 2021 echoes 2020 and we have another less than ideal situation. We've launched a new grad initiative and we'd like to share with you the progress on that. We are having workshops for students and a career fair. So give a little bit more insight into how your firm can participate. And then just give you some behind the scenes updates into our communications, our committees, which you've heard the last few weeks. And then some of the different organizations we're partnering with. You saw EAA here today, and we'd like to connect you with some of the other organizations that SEAONC is actively partnering with. We'd like to finish up with a few celebrations and awards, and then give you a look forward into some of the events we have coming for the end of this year. So that is your formal invitation. If you're registered for today, you're automatically registered for next week and you'll be sent the link to the Zoom meeting. But we look forward to seeing you. We'd love to give you a little more insight into what we're up to. And then more importantly, be available for Q&A and listen to you and hear what our membership would like us to focus on. So thank you so much for being here on part 2. And we look forward to seeing you next week in part 3 at the board town hall.